Healing for your home, the Redeemed Marriage Podcast.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Redeemed Marriage Podcast. I said that with lots of energy.
Yeah, you did.
I am excited and happy to be with all of our listeners. It has been a wonderful and crazy few weeks. And so we're back in the studio. I know last week we weren't in the studio. We came live on location from our retreat over in Georgia. And so, yeah, we're back finally. So we were gone for a couple of weeks, did an intensive, did a marriage retreat. I mean, what other kind of retreat would we do, I guess, right? So we did that and then finally made it back into town. So, yeah, here we are. And we, I think one of the things that we kept hearing over and over in the retreat and also at the intensive, and we just kept hearing that communication is such an issue. Like, that's the thing that we hear. If you get a bunch of people in a room that are married and you say, what's your number one issue? They're going to all say communication. For the most part, or at least some form of communication. But what we actually did, I don't remember if it was in the intensive or the retreat, but we took that and we said, what does that actually mean?
What do you mean by
What do you mean when you say that that communication is your issue? Because I just feel like that a lot of times, like for men especially, because we're not good communicators, like we're not good at emotionally communicating. And so if you say, yeah, our communication is not good, I may be thinking something completely different.
Like what? We communicate great.
Yeah, or
We've never left a kid at school.
Right. Well, yeah, and that's probably what I would be thinking.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh man, like when you say the trash needs to go out, I take the trash out. What's wrong with our communication?
Yeah.
But I think that it goes deeper than that, and I think that even if we don't talk about, let's just say that we both feel like we have communication problems. What you say might be very different than even what I say. Mm-hmm. But I do think that every marriage, somewhere along the way, they think or they feel like there's something that feels like it's almost untouchable when it comes to let's talk about this. Or it's just like you have something that you feel like is really wrong in the marriage or really bothering. Maybe not even wrong, but it's just bothering you. But you just don't feel like you can bring it up and talk to me. And so then those conversations just never happen. And I think that a lot of marriages would say, oh, yeah, there's something we need to talk about, but we ain't talking about it.
Yep.
And most of the time, I don't know, I'd say most of the time. Well, let me ask you, do you think that when that happens, do you think that both people realize it needs to be talked about? It's just one person probably?
Well, I think there are times where it's like there's an elephant in the room and we both need to talk about it. But I also think that the majority of the time, maybe it's one person that thinks, we really need to talk about this, but I am not bringing it up. And that's what, like, when you said you wanted to talk about this, why do you think it is? Like, why is it? Like, what are the different reasons you would think?
Before we even go there, though, this is a part of this whole communication thing that I think that people, it's just so complicated. Communication can be complicated because even when we're sitting here talking about this and we're saying, there's a spouse, you're out there listening and you're like, yeah, there's something we need to talk about. But when we say, there's probably something you need to talk about, people are going, what kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Like, what are we, like, are we talking about that you need to talk about how to parent correctly? Or are you talking about who needs to go to the grocery, more? Are you talking about who needs to get, like, what are these conversations that we're saying people don't want to talk about it? And then we can maybe, if we give some examples, then we can say, well, why do people not want to talk about it? I just think there's a gazillion things. And so, I mean, it's not just one thing that we're throwing out there. It's like,
Well, so you're asking me.
Yeah, okay, let's just throw out what are some things that we think that I was having a moment there. What are some things that people might just be holding back and scared to communicate.
I think physical intimacy is, your sex life. I think that's, one thing people don't want to talk about. Is spiritual. Like, I think that, like, you hear people, the husband should be the spiritual leader of the family, and what that actually looks like. And if he thinks he's doing a good job, and if she thinks he's doing a good job, and what that actually could mean. I think those are two really big ones. You mentioned parenting, different ways of parenting, and we just don't really talk about it. They ate and went to bed today, and got to school. So we're good. What else?
I mean, just like if there's something that I feel like you're not pulling your weight around, like in the marriage, not just
like I'm the one doing all the work. We actually hear that a lot, because one person may just, come home from work and then like, I'm done, and sit down, and then the other person is cooking and cleaning and getting the kids ready for bed and all of that. Yeah.
I mean, I think a big one is that like one spouse feels like we're not emotionally connected. We're not emotionally connected. And I don't know how to bring that up to you. Because I just distance, or I feel like we're drifting. Drifting is one, something's just off. Something's not right.
What about maybe a spouse that is uncomfortable with a relationship that the other spouse has, and they're like, "Yeah, we're not talking about that." And it came to my mind thinking relationship of the opposite sex, but it could be just another guy relation. Like if it's a guy, another guy friend relationship that you're like, that's not a good relationship. When you're around him, you come back and act like a jerk or talk bad to the kids, or, so relationships.
A habit, or something that,
that's a good one.
One spouse feels like the other one might be abusing something or taking something a little bit too far.
What we watch on TV, what we read.
So boundaries, boundaries would be one. No, but I mean, like if I feel like something's a little off with you, or, I'm trying to think back to before your infidelity, like the red flags and the things that I was scared to bring up or wouldn't bring up because just like I don't want to. Well, I mean, we can get into that now.
But what about a hobby? That's the last one I could think of. A hobby that maybe you spend too much time doing, and you're like, I don't even know how to talk to her about that, or I don't know how to talk to him about that. Financial.
Oh, finances is a good one.
We never have that problem.
Oh, Lord. Maybe we should just do that. We're going to shift topics. We're going to talk about money now. So welcome to the Money Podcast episode.
Just kidding. Let's not.
Okay, so what are the reasons? Let's just think through all of those things. So those are just some examples. It could be a gazillion things, but we throw some of that out because you may be like, oh, yeah, like we ain't talking about that, or we haven't talked. We should talk about that, but we don't talk about that. And so I wanted to give you some ideas and some thoughts, some examples. But why is it that couples avoid conversations like this that feel like they might be a little bit difficult to navigate? Why do you think?
You think they really believe we don't talk about this before we start? Because we don't.
Nope, we don't.
We don't.
I just said I'll ask you some questions.
That's right. Okay, so I would think that a big one would be things are okay. Like our marriage is okay. We're kind of coasting along, and we're, we haven't had any big fights or big blow ups. So I think if I mention it, then we might get in a fight. So I'm just going to avoid that.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause
is that a good one?
Yeah, that's a great one. Cause I feel like sometimes we're weighing, like there's this one thing that really is really bothering me. But, this other stuff is okay. And if I say something, then maybe all those things are not going to even be okay anymore. So, yeah, that's definitely one. I think that a lot of times we avoid it because we don't already know, but we assume, because of history, we assume how the other person's going to respond and react to it. So it's like there's no reason.
Yep. Or maybe you've even talked about it before.
And it's like nothing ever changes, nothing happens. Well. So, yeah, I mean, and that's one thing too is if I bring this up to you, even because we've talked about it before, it's never going to change. So why am I even setting myself, setting expectations? It shouldn't even just
I think that you did that a lot before infidelity. You were like, I'm just not even going to talk to her about that because I know that it's going to be my fault.
Yeah.
Like by the time I say this is what's hurting me or this is what's bothering me, that's you saying that, then I could come back around and make it your fault. So you just wouldn't bring things to me. So,
I mean, you guys can think through, because you're sitting there thinking right now, well, I can tell you why I don't talk to my spouse about these things. So you know the answer. We're not trying to give you an answer to why you don't talk about it. We're just giving some examples.
Or they may be sitting there thinking, why don't I talk to my spouse about that?
And maybe that's a good question.
A good place to start. Yeah. What is it? Are you scared? I mean, is it fear? Fear of, because I think that there could be even people that are scared to open their heart like that. Like I'm scared to expose that part of me that this hurts me or this bothers me or this is my desire. Whatever the thing is that you want to talk about, it's like that's really opening myself up to honesty and for them to see the real me. And so it could be that you avoid it because you're like, hey, I have this really good thing going where I have kind of this wall built around me and I'm not real sure I want to let somebody into that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, then part of that is if I bring this up, I'm just going to get hurt again. So we're protecting ourselves. We're scared of what's going to happen. There's going to be disappointment. So you guys, like we said, you guys can think about what your thing is and what it is that's keeping you from having whatever that hard conversation is. But here's the thing. I think a lot of people just, the old don't poke the bear kind of a thing. It's like, maybe I just shouldn't bring this up because if it'll be fine. Like we're fine. Nobody's threatening divorce or, it's just not worth it. But what really is happening inside of a relationship when those unspoken conversations are not happening? Like, what do you think is really happening to the marriage?
Well, I know that it causes more distance than you think that it does. I truly believe that you're you're moving closer together or you're moving further apart. There's no just, stagnant, neither one of us are moving. And so I think not having open conversations and, expressing those deep things that are bothering you or that you're thinking about or that you desire, I think that it just causes more distance.
So I'm going to back up for just a second. I'm going to go back to one of those examples. So one of those examples that we didn't throw out there is, what if I need help with something? Like I'm the one that needs some help, but I'm scared to come to you because I don't want you to think bad about me, whatever. The reason why I bring that up is because of what you just said. So when you were struggling, even, we how many times have we said you didn't wake up one morning and say, I'm going to have an affair? It was lots of little choices and gradual. But there were things that were happening along the way that if you had come to me and said, hey, I'm really struggling with something, and I don't know what that would be. I don't think that you would have ever admitted that you were flirting with an affair.
Let me just give you one. I think, because when I look back, sorry, I'm just throwing this on you, but when I look back and can see the little things that I should have said, hey, I'm struggling with this, or hey, this is bothering me, or along any of those lines, I think the first one way back when was self-image. Like I struggled with, it goes, back then it was self-image. Now I would call it just my identity. Like I didn't know who I was. I was searching for that. Of course, now I know who I am in Christ, but I don't think I knew who I was then. So even if it's like, hey, I'm just really struggling with who I am and my body image and, what I look like and things like that. That would have been something that I should have come to you a long time ago, but I just didn't because it felt silly. It felt why would I go to him about that? Because he's just going to say, you're beautiful. You're the most beautiful person in the world to me because, that's what you say. Is that a bad example?
No. I mean, is there something that, do you think I could have done something if you had brought that type of...
Well, I think it would have been a red flag to you that I was searching for something that would fill that. And what I know now, you would have 100% because you were a godly man even back then. You would have said, well, you're trying to fill that with the wrong things. And you probably would have said, hey, you need to talk to somebody about that. I don't know because hindsight's 20/20. But I'm just saying, I think it would have been a red flag to you for you to say, hey, she's trying to find her value in things other than the Lord.
Yeah. Well, the whole reason why I brought that up is because I wanted to piggyback off of what you were saying about what it does to a marriage. And you basically were saying it causes us to drift further and further apart. The really dangerous thing about that is that the person that's holding in whatever that conversation is that needs to happen, the person that's holding that in, you're drifting, and obviously your whole marriage is drifting, but the other spouse may not have any idea. Yeah. And that's the part that, when we tell people and people hear our story and I say, I had no idea, I was completely blindsided. And that's true. I can look back on it and I can see red flags and things that were just off that I probably should have come to you and had more conversations. I had some, but more conversations. But for you, there was something so deep going on. I mean, even leading up to it, you didn't talk to me, so it caused you to drift and drift and drift. And it got to a place where you were so far away that you were willing to have an affair. And then when you confessed it, it was sure, the affair wasn't fair, but it wasn't fair that I had no idea.
Right.
Because you were drifting and I just thought things are fine.
Right.
And just like our story, and when we tell our story, when the counselor said, what was your best year of marriage? I said,
this one.
I thought it was this one. I didn't know. And so what's happening in your marriage is if you're holding something in, it's not fair to the other spouse because they may have no idea that that's something inside that you're struggling with, and not even you. I mean, it may be something about the other person, but you're just getting, and this would be maybe my second thing that I would say to go off that, you're getting bitter and you're starting to resent your spouse, and they may not even know.
And they have no idea why.
Yeah.
Or that you're even resenting them.
Yep. Yep. And so you're like, well, I'm not going to call this out again. But I know there's people out there going, I don't know how many more times I have to bring this up and say this. And so I'm just not going to do it anymore.
Right.
And so, but those are the things that I think happen to your marriage. You definitely start drifting. You get distance between you. There's bitterness and resentment. There's also just this level of stress and anxiety about, should I have this conversation? You spend, it's the mental gymnastics that we talk about of over and over and over, you're replaying the conversation that you would have, and you're assuming what they're going to say, and you're debating.
Or if they say this, I would respond like this. But if they say this, I mean, it's just hard.
And then what happens is it distracts you so much that the rest of your marriage that you thought was good can't even be good.
Right.
Because you're not willing to have the conversation. The one thing that's taking up all of your mental capacity and emotional capacity a lot of times. So those are some things that I was thinking about that just are like, this is what's going, surface level, maybe things seem okay, but there's a couple of things we should probably talk about. But down deep, there's some things that are really deep in the core that are not good.
Right.
Can you think of any others?
Well, I was just going to say that I think that that's why there's explosive behavior, because something's been bothering you and bothering you and bothering you, and they don't know it. And then like, it's like the straw that
broke the camel's back.
that one. And then it's like blow up season. You're like, whoa, where did this come from? You know, because they aren't privy to all of the things that are going on in your mind that have bothered you and bothered you and bothered you and bothered you and bothered you. And then it's just an explosion. And that's not fair. It's not fair to them, because, you know, you think, oh, I'm protecting them by holding this in. But then it just builds and builds and builds and builds. And then it's, you know, it's like, whoa, like I didn't know you felt that way, or that you were dealing with that. And that's not fair.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So you're going, well, what do I do?
Yeah.
How,
okay, great.
Yeah. How do I approach my spouse? And that's the thing that we would encourage you to do. The whole point of this is we don't want to say, yep, that's the thing. People don't communicate. Good luck. We want to give you some actual, I guess some things that you can do to approach your spouse with difficult conversations. Or, I mean, look, let's also be honest about this. You might think it's a difficult conversation because you've worked it up so much in your head, and it might not be.
Right.
So let's just throw out some things. And I actually texted you before this, and I said, here's what our topic's going to be.
Yep.
And I said, and these were kind of 4 things that I thought of how you can safely address a hard topic or a hard conversation that you need to have. But you can add to this. These were just 4 things that I thought about. So I'll name them or say one, and then we can talk about it a little bit. So the first one is, you led right into it because you said sometimes it grows and grows and grows inside and festers up, and then it just kind of blows up. The tone of a conversation is probably the number one thing. And the number one way to start this thing is you have to have a tone that kind of sets the stage for what's going to happen. And you may go, well, what does that even mean? Well, first of all, it's a calm. It's not accusing, but it really, I think it's the first sentence, the first way of approaching it. And where you can't go wrong is if you say something like, hey, I'm not mad at you. Like, I'm really not mad at you. Or I really, really love you. And so I just need to talk about this with you. But I know there's been several times where something came up, and I just said at the very beginning, hey, I want you to know before I ever start this conversation, I'm not mad at you.
Yeah. Or this is not an attack.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, so it sets the tone a little bit, and I don't know any other way to explain that other than just because if these are the hard. I think this is a hard way to start a conversation. Well, I hate it, but hey, we need to talk. I mean,
I need to talk to you.
Yeah, and like that's what you said the night that you confessed to me. You said we need to talk, and that just has such a, I don't know, it feels really negative sometimes, especially for a guy. We think, oh gosh, what have I done? And so instead, like, just to jump in there and say, hey, I'm really not mad at you, but I've been thinking about this, and I just need to share it with you. I love you, and you're important, and our marriage is so important that I don't need to keep it inside. Yeah,
and along those same lines of tone, how to keep it a good conversation is to make sure you read the room and catch your spouse when it's a good time to have a talk. If March Madness is on and there's 30 seconds left in the game, it's not a good time to say, hey, can we have a conversation?
Yeah.
Like, no. Yeah. Like, watch, see when it's a good time, and try to approach it with that good tone and a good time.
Yeah. And I would say the second thing is to take ownership of whatever it is that you're about to talk about, because chances are, if before you have the conversation, if you think about whatever it is, your spouse is probably not the only person or the only one that's contributing to whatever it is. You know, it may be that there's something that you're trying to call out in your spouse, and it may be hard for you to take ownership, but there is a way to say, hey, I'm not perfect either. Like, I fail, and you could pull out a list and start writing down all the ways that I failed, and I'm so aware of that. But that's just the taking ownership for whatever it is. So, you know, the topic, it's finding a way to be able to say, look, I've contributed to this, and I'm admitting that. And so because of that, I want us to come together and talk about it, because it's an area that I think our marriage would be so much better if we could improve in this.
Yeah, that's good.
But just to be able to take some ownership for whatever it is.
Yep. No, that's good, because the other way feels attacking. You and you did this and you did that. You know, it's just a we. It's how can we do better at this? Yeah.
A third thing is, I guess the way to put this is ask instead of assume. I think this is where the attack kind of comes in, and also the you always and you never, and using.
Be careful with those words.
just don't even use them. Never use those words. But instead, try to ask questions that shows that you're interested in hearing why you're in this situation. So more questions like, hey, like, help me understand why you do this. And, you know, instead of saying, like, I don't know, you never take out this is a stupid example, but you never take out the trash. We need to talk about that, because you just, like I've told you a million times, you never take out the trash. Like, instead, it can be, hey, I know I have to bring this up all the time, and there's probably plenty of things that you do that I don't do. You have to bring it up. But like, what is it about the trash, you know?
About
okay. What is it about taking out? What do you not understand? Hey, listen to me. Now,
no,
this is
sorry. I was thinking, when you were saying that, I was thinking, I thought it was the trash, man. I thought it was the trash.
From the
Bonus
movie.
points if you know what movie that's from.
Let's move on.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe the way, that's probably a terrible example, but really just, you know, hey, help me to understand.
Like, is it because it's late at night, or you don't have time in the morning, like, or you just hate doing it? Like, what is it?
Just let me.
Why?
Yeah.
Why can't you
let me understand? Help me understand. And then
that's a terrible example.
Yeah, it's actually really funny. We should probably do a whole entire podcast about a podcast.
Excuse me.
Hey, are you dying over there?
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm all good.
Yeah, the taking out the trash. And the crazy thing is that's not an issue here. So I take out the trash all the time.
Well, because I had you, and then I had two boys.
They do not take out. That's the worst example.
I was trying to give
ever.
them some credit.
Yeah,
trying to give them some credit in there.
I don't know that they've ever taken out the trash.
Sure they have. If you're listening, boys, I tried to cover your back.
Okay, so, but I think you guys understand. It's asking questions to try to get an understanding instead of just attacking and assuming that, you know, okay, maybe the better way to jump into the whole the whole trash thing is assuming you just don't listen to me. Yeah. Like, I tell you to take out the trash and you just don't listen to me. No, it's not that. It's whatever. Yeah. Like, help me understand. Right. You know, but you can do that in a way that's not attacking of the person. Okay. The last thing is just like you set the tone at the beginning, the tone really shouldn't change. So the emotions need to stay in check throughout the conversation, because whatever the other person does or says that's a response to you, if they start to elevate things, you have control of the conversation because you're the one that started the conversation. So at any point you can pause the conversation. You can say, hey, this isn't really going the way that I thought it was going to go. We need to revisit this at some other point. And that's it, just to keep it super calm and keep your emotions in check. Because if you allow their reaction to then escalate your emotions, then you've already ruined the conversation.
That's right.
And there's no way anything's going to happen.
And then the next time you try to come to them about something, they're gonna think, oh, here we go, you know. So,
and I mean, you know how it is too. When somebody, if I bring something to you and you get a little bit defensive and then I just blow up, well, you're going to make it a point to, you're definitely not going to work on that.
Right.
Like, I'll show you, you know, but if I bring it to you, regardless of your response, I stay calm. I still, hey, I still love you. I'm not mad at you. I just wanted you to be aware of this. They can't help but walk away going, I need to think about that.
Well, and it's ending that conversation the same way.
Yeah.
You know, just being grateful that they took the time to listen, and, you know, and that just reminding them that you love them and you care about them and you just want your marriage to be better.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest key to it, is this is about our marriage and that I want us to be connected and I want things to be good.
Yeah.
Can you think of any others that I left out there on that? Okay. I know we didn't actually give you like a cool little tool, like our heart talk. But you got to come to an intensive or a retreat, I guess, to hear that. But I think this is just a really some basic things to keep in mind when there's conversations that need to be had.
Yep.
So
don't be afraid of them.
That's right. Everybody needs to have these conversations. So go do it today. Hey, thanks. See you next time.
Peace.
Peace.